And glory to Yahweh Bahasham, Yahweh Shai Bahasham Ha Rakah Kwadash. Double honors unto our apostle elders, which ruled great millstone well, which taught Israel the truth, taught me the truth. Yahweh Shai is the truth. Shalom to the hopeful elect of the nation of Israel. Wa Abba Babal. All right, so I had AI summarize the email that I received from a civil rights lawyer so I could use it for edification to the Israelites of the accuracy of the Bible and our situation in the last days. Which I did a sit down a while back talking about how these Edomites, they pretty much invaded my property and tried to threaten me, and it came to find out that they were county employees and all the way up into certain levels of the county employees, and I turned it into lawyers, and I'm just using this to edify on that we are the Israelites, and no man shall buy you. All right, pretty much no man will save you. All right, and we're pretty much at the bottom of the barrel. The so-called white man is the pretty much the scum at the bottom of the barrel, and we're under him in slavery. All right, and he has the other nations confederate against us, even other Israelites. All right, and the Israelites are the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native American Indians, which have been scattered throughout the world in slavery. And this proves that they're able to get away with anything they do in evil. All right, just like Fauci, he's guilty of murder. All right, and he's able to get away with it in their so-called judicial system. All right, because there's no justice here under the wicked. And once again, the wicked is the so-called white race. So I told you in other sit downs about, I've reported certain situations to lawyers, and I'm revealing this just to prove that no man shall buy you, talking about the Israelites, no man shall save you. All right. So I had AI break it down. It says representation declined, which the law firms, which this is old news, but I just recently got an email from a law firm, and it was denied. And once again, I had AI break it down, but I've had other lawyers that I dealt with on other levels, and they don't help you. They pretty much give you the cold shoulder. You're lucky to get a response. All right, but I'm just using this as an opportunity because it recently came in about the old news, and it's a good opportunity to edify. So it says representation declined. The law firm states they cannot represent you in this legal matter. No reflection on case value. They emphasize that declining a case is often due to practical reasons, like current caseload capacity, and does not mean your case lacks merit, which I know it has merit, or else I wouldn't even contacted them when I did. All right, but this shows you that it doesn't matter if you're telling the truth. There's no justice for you being an Israelite here in America. The wicked rule the world, all right, and they wear violence as a necklace, all right. They're lifted up in wickedness. Once again, look at Fauci. Look at Nero 47. He's able to commit war crimes and nothing, is done about it. All right, because they're in their time of ruling, and they're the wicked that corrupt the earth, the so-called white race. They're the Edomites, and they go back to Esau. It says no legal advice because they are not taking the case. They cannot provide legal advice or assess your potential claims, which I believe this is because of who they are and where their positions are. All right. So they're pretty much saying don't contact us for advice or nothing. Though your case has merit, though you have a valuable case, we don't want to deal with it. We don't want to talk to you about it. And I believe it's because of the position of the opposition. All right. So it says strict deadlines warnings. They warn that legal matters have strict deadlines and encourage you to contact another attorney quickly so you do not miss them. Which I'm not going to contact any other lawyer. All right, I already know the situation. I'm just sharing this, showing you that the scriptures are true. All right, there's no justice for the Israelites right now because we're enslaved under the wicked, the so-called white race. All right, but there will be a day when the Edomites have to pay, and they're going to go into slavery under us. All right, starting with their elite that survived the judgment of the great whore America, which America is going to lose World War III according to biblical prophecy and be turned into a lake of fire via nuclear missiles shot off by its allies and enemies. All right. It says referral offer. The email concludes by pointing to a Colorado attorney referral resource to help you find another lawyer. See, so they pretty much denied me, said that my case had merit, but they can't help me. Why? Because I'm an Israelite, and it says in Deuteronomy 28 and 68, and Yahweh shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships. This Egypt is America. Look at the back of the dollar. Look at the monuments of America and its capitals. All right, your president is Nero 47, the Pharaoh, and he is inaugurated. Inauguration goes back to Egypt. It says again with ships, which this is America, and we came here on ships. The northern kingdom came here on Assyrian ships. The southern kingdom came here on slave ships. By the way whereof I spake unto thee, talking about the Holy Land, thou shalt see it no more again, because we're on the other side of the world. And there ye shall be sold unto your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen, and no man shall buy you. When you go into the translation comparison, it says in the NLT, all right, I'll start at the top. It says, then Yahweh will send you back to Egypt in ships. Once again, in America, we came here on ships to a destination I promised you would never see again, which we were serving slavery together in America. We've been exiled out of the Holy Land. There you will offer to sell yourselves to your enemies as slaves, but no one will buy you. And to buy you is pretty much to deliver you out of slavery. NIV, Yahweh will send you back in ships to Egypt, which America is spiritual Egypt, on a journey I said you should never make again. There you will offer yourselves for sale to your enemies. Our enemies are the other nations, starting with the so-called white race, as male and female slaves, but no one will buy you. All right, so I want to go back to that word, those words, buy you, in the interlinear. It says, for that word, buy you, or two words I should say, all right, in the interlinear, it says, quana, to get, acquire, create, buy, possess. It says, let me see. See, recover. All right? That's the part. Recover. Or to redeem. All right? Let me go back into the interlinear. And that word there is quana, which once again, recover, redeemed. All right? Redeem, recover. Okay? Provoke to jealousy. Nobody really cares about us. That's why they're able to murder us and get away with it. That's why they're able to lynch us and get away with it. They're able to steal our organs and get away with it. They're able to traffic our children and get away with it. All right, they're able to put us in these death camps and get away with it because we're the Israelites and they are not caring about us. They show us no mercy. So they'll be showing no mercy when Yahweh sends his son Yahweh Shai to redeem us, to recover us. So I'm going to pull up that word recover in the dictionary definition, AI overview. The word recover means to get back something that was lost, to become healthy again after an illness, or to return to a normal state. It is a verb used in physical, mental, and legal situations. So there's no justice for us here in America under the so-called white race or any other place on earth. The one that's going to save us or recover us is Yahweh Shai. When Yahweh sends him to recover us, it's going to be the end of the kingdom of the Edomites, the so-called white race, which they rule through America. All right, and it goes back to the small hat counterfeits that are in our Holy Land. So the word redeem, to redeem means to get something back, exchange it for value, or make up for a mistake. See, so we're not redeemed through the so-called white race. All right, we're not recovered by the so-called white race. All right, we're oppressed by the so-called white race. So it's Yahweh Shai, the son of Yahweh, that is going to he's already redeemed us through his sacrifice, but he's going to recover us. All right? So it says in Matthew 1 verse 21, and she shall bring forth a son, talking about Mary, and the son is of the lineage of Joseph, which means he went back to King David as prophesied. And thou shalt call his name, it says Jesus, which is a goddamn lie. All right, the true name is Yahweh Shai. For he shall save his people from their sins, which we've been scattered throughout the world in slavery because of our sin. All right, so it says, the counterfeit name there, in the Greek it's Iesus, all right, because the J did not exist until, I believe it was the late 1400s, all right, but you can see here it says Hebrew origin, in the root word etymology, which is the truth of the word. So he was a Hebrew Israelite, and his name, all right, is Hebrew. And they have the true name here, and right to left, it is Yahweh Shai. Yahweh Shai, he saves. When you translate it, all right, they say it's translation to Joshua in English, all right? So the better translation in English would be Joshua. Though you could transliterate the name Yahweh or Yahweh Shai, Yahweh is the Father, Yahweh Shai is the Son. In English, you could literally transliterate it into the modern English, all right? But you could also use Joshua in English for Yahweh Shai. But this shows you they use the name Jesus to lie. Alright? They lie because they want to deceive us and keep us oppressed. Alright? That's why they set up the false image of Jesus Christ, which is a goddamn lie. Christianity is a goddamn lie. The Roman Catholic Church is a goddamn lie, which even the government pushes this. Alright? Nero 47 on New Year's day or night, 2026, they were pushing images that were blasphemy. Alright? They were pushing false images that worship their image. Because the true image of Yahweh Shai is that he's a so-called black man. Alright? And he was crucified, hung on a tree under the Romans, which were Edomites. Today the Edomites are the so-called Caucasians, and Rome is reincarnated by America's existence. Alright? So Yahweh Shai is going to save us, recover us, and he has purchased us. He has redeemed us by his precious blood. Alright? So all we have to do is wait on Yahweh to send Yahweh Shai, and he's going to avenge us. Alright? Because the Edomite and the other nations, they show us no mercy. So they're going to be showing no mercy. Alright? And we have been shown mercy from Yahweh through Yahweh Shai in the Holy Spirit. That's why we have this ministry. Alright? So I wanted to go back to the blue letter and get that word there. Alright, shall save.
Strong's G 4982. Sozo. Sozo.
Sozo, which is to make safe. Alright? It says to save, keep safe and sound, to rescue from danger or destruction, one from injury or peril, to save a suffering one, talking about an Israelite, from perishing, i.e., in other words, one suffering from disease, to make well, heal, restore to health, to preserve one who is in danger of destruction, to save or rescue. To save in the technical biblical sense, negatively, to deliver from the penalties of the Messianic judgment, to save from the evils which obstruct the reciprocation of the Messianic deliverance. So we have salvation in Yahweh Shai and in no other. There is no other name under heaven for us Israelites to be saved. Alright? And this is why it's mercy to know the truth, and Yahweh Shai is the truth. And they can't even stop us from having this truth, though they're going to try to murder us because of the truth. But all it's going to do is bring their judgment faster. The Lord said that he shortens the days for the elect's sake. Alright, so the more they murder us, especially the hopeful elect, the faster their end comes, and we're going to be set up to rule the world. Alright, and we're going to have the heathen in slavery, and we're going to be able to pay them back for what they've done unto us. Revelation 13 and 9, if any man have an ear, let him hear. He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. Here is the patience and the faith of the saints. When you go to Revelation 14 and 12, it says, here is the patience of the saints. The saints are the sanctified Israelites, and we are sanctified by the Word. The Word is Yahweh's, the Holy Scriptures, and it speaks of Yahweh Shai. Here are they that keep the commandments of Yahweh and the faith of Yahushai. So we're waiting and preparing to meet our Maker, Yahushai. And we have a sure word of prophecy, which is the word of Yahweh, the Holy Scriptures. And it speaks of how Yahweh is going to send Yahushai, and he's going to avenge us on these heathen. And the elite that are going to be in the bunkers outside of America, they're going into slavery first. But eventually, all their nation will be brought into slavery under us, and we're going to wipe our feet on their neck because they're going to be our slaves. And just as they oppressed us, we're going to oppress them, and it's going to be double. All right? Because in the world to come, which is this earth under new management, we're going to be the government. We're going to rule. All right? And we're going to enforce the laws of Yahweh, talking about the laws of the Bible. All right? And it speaks of Esau's extinction after 1,000 years of slavery. And once again, that slavery is going to be double. All right? Because they have to pay us back for what they've done unto us. It says in 2 Thessalonians chapter 1, verse 6, seeing it is a righteous thing with Yahweh and his son Yahushai to recompense tribulation to them that trouble you. Let's go to the NLT. In his justice he will pay back those who persecute you. So we got a promise of paying back them that oppress us, that persecute us. All right? NIV, our power is just. He will pay back trouble to those who trouble you. So he's going to give them into our hands, and we're going to oppress them just as they oppressed us. But it's going to be worse for them. All right? It says, and to you who are troubled, rest with us. And what we're resting in is this promise, this oath that we have that Yahweh will send his son Yahushai to save us and put us back in our holy land. When the Lord Yahushai shall be revealed from heaven with his mighty angels in flaming fire, taking vengeance on them that know not Yahweh and that obey not the gospel of the Lord Yahushai HaMashiach, who shall be punished with everlasting destruction, which America is going to become a nuclear lake of fire. It says, from the presence of the Lord and from the glory of his power, when he shall come to be glorified in his saints, which were sanctified by the truth, and were glorifying Yahweh Bahasham Yahushai in the face of the heathen as they oppress us, and to be admired in all them that believe, because our testimony among you was believed in that day. So this is happening in our lifetime right now. We got the internet, the unicorn, and we're telling the truth. Yahushua is the truth, and he's coming back to save us and to punish the other nations for what they've done unto us. He's going to avenge us. So all we got to do is wait in patience, and as we wait, all right, learn the scripture, rehearsing the righteous acts. All right, but our righteousness is of Yahweh Ba'asham Yahushai and not of our own works. But we've been moved by the Holy Spirit to testify of Yahweh's word, which speaks of Yahushai returning and saving us and giving us the ability to pay our oppressors back. Shalom to the elect of the nation of Israel. Wa Abba Babam.